no society has ever moved forward on the development scale without agriculture. Great to be in the library, new venue for me. I haven't played here before, and I'm not going to be playing here tonight. But I am glad to be meeting with you all and to be sharing just a few thoughts with you. We meet at a critical time in the immediate aftermath of the summit in New York that looked at the Sustainable Development Goals, and now this week, the meetings in Paris, which are looking at climate change. And I just want to say one or two words about those two things, really, and to say that they relate not just to us as people of African descent, important though that is, they are world-related, they are world-changing, and they respond to a global challenge. And Africa is right at the heart of that challenge, at the heart of the future in terms of realizing the potential that Africa has, delivering that potential now, not just looking to the future. Africa, the youngest continent by any demographic study, the oldest continent by any reference to geology and the movement of peoples, the families that came out of Africa to populate the world. Africa, the continent still with 60% of the world's underutilized arable land, so potentially the breadbasket of the world. Africa, a continent rich in mineral resources, but importantly, a continent rich in people resources. The issue is, how is that wealth to be developed? How is that wealth to be shared? And how, as people of the diaspora, can we contribute to the continent and to the realization of that potential, not in some dim, distant future, but now, here and now. And for me, as someone who was born in Britain, but grew up in the Gold Coast that was Ghana that it became, someone who was christened in rural Ghana, a place called Achim, and that's my title, Lord Boateng of Achim and Wembley. Yeah, now why does everyone laugh when you say Achim and Wembley? But actually, for me, those are two very important places. The place I was christened, the place that my father grew up in, the place whose cocoa production enabled my father to be educated at King's College and to go on to Gray's Inn to become a barrister, and then to take his part and play his part in the liberation of the Gold Coast so that it became Ghana, and he in turn became a cabinet minister. So for me and for my family, Achim is very important. And Wembley, which is important to me and my family because it was Wembley that gave me the chance to become a parliamentarian. It was Wembley that set me on the road to becoming the first black minister, the first black cabinet minister, the first black high commissioner in due course. So I owe them. I owe Achim and I owe Wembley. And life is about building bridges. Life is actually about recognizing that we live in a complex but interconnected world. And one succeeds in that world only to the extent to which one enables people to come together, only to the extent to which one enables the relationships that one enters into to be fruitful and productive and equal. Equality for me has always been important. Equality for me has always been the bottom line, that everybody should have equality of opportunity, that no one should be judged by reference to the color of their skin, what their parents did, what their gender is, what their sexuality is. We are all equal. We are equal in the sight of God, we should be equal in the sight of each other, and we should, all of us, have equality of opportunity. What we do with that opportunity is a different matter. I'm not one of those people who believes that it's ever going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But I think everybody should be given an opportunity to make the most of themselves, and that everybody has value. And of course, the great challenge in the world today, for me, and I believe for each and every one of us, is how you can have growth, how you can have individual development, and yet at the same time have a degree to which people are equally valued, to which people have equal opportunity, in which no one feels left out of that growth. No one feels left out of society. And the question for us, each and every one of us, is how we build a society that is sustainable, because nobody does feel left out. Nobody does feel excluded from a chance to grow and to participate in the wonders and the wealth that our world offers. That's a great challenge. And that lies at the heart of what's been going on in New York, what's going on now as we speak in Paris, because the Sustainable Development Goals apply to us all. They're not something that is cooked up on the banks of a river in New Jersey and Manhattan for the benefit, quotes unquotes, of the developing world, quotes unquotes. The Sustainable Development Goals are about all of us and what we are all entitled to expect by way of life's chances and opportunities. The goals that are being established around climate change as we speak in Paris are not simply about the responsibilities of the developed world and the responsibilities of the developing world. They're about how, in an interconnected world, those who are responsible for the crisis we have in terms of carbon emission fess up to their responsibilities and ensure that those who have everything to gain from growth are able to grow, and yet grow in a world whose very existence is not threatened by climate change. These are complicated issues. They are not simple answers. And it seems to me that we have, each and every one of us, a duty to make sure in our own lives, in our own callings, that we play our part in responding to the challenge of these times. Now, what does that mean in practice? Well, first and foremost for me, it means recognizing that at the heart of development for Africa lies the realization of human capacity. At the heart of that, in turn, lies science, technology, innovation, and a recognition of the role that that plays in the development of the continent. So to see Africa purely in terms of philanthropy, to see Africa purely as a receptacle for our generosity is to miss a trick. Because if you look at our history globally, Africa is actually center stage. You know what they say, that we all owe the Romans. The Romans, in turn, owe the Greeks. And the Greeks owe everything to Egypt. And when I last looked, Egypt was in Africa. So I think, we really have to rethink what we mean when we talk about Western, quotes unquotes, civilization. It's like Gandhi said when they asked him, Mr. Gandhi, what do you think about Western civilization? He said it would be a good thing. And think about it. The reality is that we live genuinely in an interconnected world. That the kingdoms of Great Zimbabwe and of Timbuktu existed when Britain was in the grip of the Dark Ages, when there were civilizations in Africa that were trading with India and with China. We know that because we've found the artifacts in Africa that represent that trade, that the great libraries of Timbuktu and Alexandria were connected by trading routes that exist to this day across the deserts. So we've got to see our history for what it is. We've got to see our present too for what it is. If you look at some of the things that are happening in Africa today, classic example, M-Pesa in Kenya. This is a system of money transfer through mobile telephony which developed in Africa, that developed to meet African needs, and that has proved to be actually really challenging for the West to replicate, even when they've recognized the need for a similar system of money transfer. So we need to free our minds in ways that enable us to recognize the true nature of the challenges we face. But part of that challenge is, yes, changing the way that we think, but also, and importantly, that challenge is to Africa and African governments to deliver on the promise, to deliver on the promise of those who were the founders of the liberation movement in Africa. Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, Nelson Mandela, Oliver Tambo, Leopold Senghor, Augustino Neto. These were the founding fathers, and indeed to go before them to Yaa Asantewaa, who was herself a great liberation fighter. These were the founding mothers and fathers of Africa. And so we need to realize their dreams. We need to recognize that in realizing their dreams, we have to take certain practical steps now. And those steps mean prioritizing spend on science, technology, and innovation. Those dreams mean prioritizing spend on agriculture. No society has ever moved forward on the development scale without agriculture, which is why it was so inexplicable that in the 80s, somehow the World Bank didn't see agriculture as being central to Africa's development, and yet in Southeast Asia, it was at the heart of the success of the dragon economies. I'll just give you one example. I'm currently I've just become chairman of the Africa Enterprise Challenge Fund, which is all about linking rural farmers, small and medium-sized farmers in Africa to global markets, and to supporting businesses with grants of between $0.5 and $1.5 million to bridge that investment gap. But I've been thinking a lot about agriculture recently. If you take Vietnam, classic example, 25 years ago, Vietnam had no coffee industry. Today, Vietnam produces more Arabica coffee than the whole of Africa put together. So coffee production has gone down in Africa, up in Vietnam. Why? Because in Vietnam, government has invested in science, in research and development, in the coffee industry. Government has created an enabling environment for business and for agricultural extension, and the result has been a capacity in Vietnam to respond to the global demand for coffee, even as in Africa Our response has been woefully inadequate. The fact of the matter is that agricultural output now from the whole of Africa, measured in terms of productivity, is less than that of Thailand. The whole of Africa, less than that of Thailand. So we've really got to rethink our priorities, and each of us has a role to play in that. We have a role to play in terms of our own decisions about what we do with our lives, how we spend our money, and on the connections that we form in whatever sphere of life we are called to. It's all about connection. It's all about making the connection. And in Africa, actually, you know, we're pretty good at making connections. In Africa, the sense of community is palpable. The sense that we are part of a common interest and a common purpose. What Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, and others have called the Ubuntu Principle. We are what we are because of others. There is in Africa this very special connection between the material and the spiritual, between this world, the world of our ancestors, and the world to come. And it's that enables Africa to be a society where, yes, people endure, and they do endure, we do endure real hardships, but at the same time have a capacity to smile, to survive, and therefore to succeed. So those are important qualities, and they are qualities that we need to draw on at this time more than ever before to make the connections that make a difference. I think your gathering here tonight, the work that Dennis is spearheading, simply by bringing us all together, is part of making those connections. The challenge for us is to build on that so they become connections that transform lives. And through transforming lives and our own life and our relationship with other people, we transform more than a handful of individuals. We transform communities, we transform society, and I believe we can transform our world. So it is at the end of the day about realizing the truth of that great saying that came from a contemporary of our Lord. I am not for others, what can I become? If I'm only for me, what am I? But if I am not for others, what can I become? The importance of recognizing our interconnectivity, one with the others. But at the same time recognizing that if I don't take responsibility for myself, then I cannot realize my potential in my relationship with others. And he went on to say, if not now, when? You know, the importance of translating thought into action, of yes, taking time to reflect, yes, taking time to plan and strategize, but never to use that as a reason for not doing something now. So if not now, when? But importantly, I would add to that, if not you, each and every one of you, if not you, who? If not the generation represented in this room, if not the skills represented in this room, then who? So, if I am only for me, who am I? But if I am not for me and don't take up my own responsibilities, then there's nothing that I can do. But if not now, when? And if not you, who? Each and every one of you. So it's thinking in that way of, yes, the importance of self-reliance, but recognizing our interdependence one with the other, recognizing the need for action now, and recognizing our own responsibility. So it's the Ubuntu Principle, and that wonderful Zulu expression found in Khoza 2, Vivuzenzele, or Vikuzenzele, Vivuzenzele, Vikuzenzele, which means simply, let's get up and do it.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and watch the rest of our talks below.